Hello, friends. Welcome to the fourth edition of Lift India Filmotsav and Awards World Cine Fest 2020. We are here in conversation with Mr. Shovik Chakrabarti. He is the director of music video film Dialogue. Hi, Shovik.
Hi Rijuji. Hi Rijuji.
Hi.
How are you
Yeah.
doing?
I'm good. Hi, Sahitya.
Hello, sir. Hi, Shavik.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Hi Shahita. Hello.
So, Shovik, I will let Sahitya lead this session today with you because he is very much into the music videos and the music. Um, so, I will first request him to take the session ahead.
Thank you.
Sure.
Shavik, firstly, I would like to know where are you from?
So I'm basically from Durgapur, West Bengal, and due to work and all, I am currently living in Mumbai. But right now, again, I'm in a vacation, so I'm back to my base, back to home. Yeah.
All right. So this video that you've made is
Hmm.
glamorizing Mumbai, right?
Right.
It basically the
If glamorizing is the right word for it.
yeah. I mean, I've when I saw the video, I was
Hmm.
awestruck because you have shown the very mundane lifestyle of Mumbai and presented it in a very glamorous manner. I'm not saying glorified, but glamorous. It's looking really beautiful. And me being a Mumbaiker, I can
Thank you
only say
so much.
thank you for showing it like that. I loved it.
Yeah. So
And
yeah,
yeah,
basically it was basically sorry, I'm just cutting you short over there. It was
yeah,
basically just a infatuation of sorts with a city that I had been largely working at for the past 5 6 years now, and maybe not just a tribute, but something which is very close to my heart. And Rishabh, Uday, people who are from Mumbai and Maharashtra, basically they had actually shot it really lovely in a very good visual sense, and I think that is how it has come across so beautiful. I'm glad you like it.
yeah. I mean, usually people present a female lead in a very sexy
Hmm.
manner, and you have presented the city in a very
Right.
sexy manner. So I just wanted to
Thank
also
you.
understand how did the music happen, and did you plan the music first and then you planned shooting, or was it vice versa?
Okay, so the idea was to create an experimental track out of certain, close samplings of all of these workers that who actually work on the streets and who are actually, grinding in the city of sorts, day in, day out. So the idea was to first get the track done and then sort of do the visuals around it. But I was very unsure about what the process is going to be like. So Ankit Uppal, the composer, the sound designer, he had actually suggested that we do a sound walk of sorts. So we go out to different places of the city and we pick up these sounds, which could be garbage largely. But I had a very clear idea as to what are the areas that I wanted to show or what are the sounds that I want to capture. So I made a list out of it, and then we went out and we sort of did a sound walk, just a recorder and roaming about in the streets, getting all the sounds, and then dumping it on the this thing, the workstation, the audio workstation. And then it was him basically who tried to make sense of the beats and the samples that could be taken out of that. Obviously there was a clear theme as to what the story should be like or what the track should be about. So he had that sense, but largely whatever he had was like a pile of a lot many useless sounds and useless samples. So he sort of figured out certain portions or certain beats that could be used, and then we got a clear idea as to what could be really useful and what could be not, and we did a second sound walk. And that is pretty much how the idea for the entire soundtrack came along. So it was a very interesting experiment, I would say, but
Right.
it had a very high level of failing, and we not being able to do the project was like something which was very very obvious. But that did not happen. We eventually pull it off.
Pulled it off, and how? I just wanted to also know that
Yeah.
the the locations that you were talking about. Uh, can you tell us what locations did you choose to film?
Yeah, so it was largely in South Bombay that we had targeted for the shoot, and it was guerrilla style, obviously, and it was on the streets of Kolaba. It was on the streets of that Bandra Causeway area, and some portions in the far interiors, in the markets, or in the the far end of the streets and all. Also, we shot in the train compartments. We got up at 4 or 3 in the morning, and we tried to get that first light of the day. And also, very interestingly, I think you pointed out on the very first instant is that the idea of showing Mumbai was something that really struck to everybody who was working on the team. For them, it was a very fresh approach, because I wasn't trying to show that chaos and that that bustling energy that all of your videos, whether it could be a travelogue or whether it could be a music video, they always portray a kind of a bustling attitude to the entire city. That bustling vibe was something that I was largely wanting to avoid of sorts. So I wanted empty train compartments and empty, sort of platforms and stuff. And we could only get that in the morning, in the wee hours of the morning. So that happened. We shot it around the Goregaon area also. So yeah, so it was there were a lot of pickup shots from all over the city, but largely it was South Bombay that we had focused on.
And how many days did you guys shoot for this?
I think it could be around 1.5 day overall that we shot for, and then there were a couple of hyperlapses that we shot, which were largely in the night, and it was either Uday or Rishabh, picking up the shots in the night. So yeah, largely about that. We had one complete day of shoot, where we largely traveled rather than shooting, because we were a very so we worked together on a lot of projects, so we knew each other very well, and we had fun roaming about in the streets and like getting the shots occasionally. So it was a nice process, but it wasn't that tiresome, I would say. And we were done in about 1.5 days or two max.
Did you find any obstacles while shooting? Any challenges because it was on the streets? Any issues with permissions or anything like that?
See, the people on the streets were like very warm and very humble. That is how Mumbaikas are known for also. And, they have these kind of people who are very, who are wanting to capture them in their entire, grind and in their entire milieu of sorts. Like they get photographers coming, they get filmmakers coming. So they were pretty much welcoming to us. The only
Yeah,
challenge for us was
Mumbai girls
to,
are quite used to
sorry,
it, I think. Mumbai girls are pretty much
yeah,
used to being filmed. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. The only thing that they did not get of sorts was the hyperlapse shoot, because we were coming across as very stupid, taking one step at a time and then taking one shot, moving ahead to one step and taking the next shot, and then we are doing that for the entire causeway area. So that was pretty stupid for a lot of people who were like the shopkeepers and stuff over there. So that was one thing that we had a real tough time shooting on. We did not want to hamper the traffic, or we did not want to you know bother their businesses. So we had to like practically ask them to sort of you know कंधा हटाइए या फिर यहाँ से वहाँ चले जाइए. So it had to be that kind of a one-on-one conversation. But largely, I can't remember a lot of the challenges as far as the shoot is concerned. Uh, the edit-wise, constraints, and the music-wise constraints were like pretty huge as when compared to the visuals, when compared to getting the visuals. That was the much more difficult this thing to do.
And why did you choose Mumbai in particular? You could have chosen any city. And if you
Well,
are going to make any more videos like this, are there any other cities that you're planning on shooting?
so I wanted to do a sequel of this, for which I never got a finance for, and it was for Indo and Bangladesh. This thing, the musicality of India and Bangladesh, And basically, Baul is something which is very common for Bengal as well as the East Bengal or the Bangladesh, right? So I wanted to sort of do a fusion of the both in terms of the visuals as well as the audio. And Lalan Fokir is the bridge between the two, of course. So that is one idea. And why Mumbai is because I was there when the shoot was supposed to happen, and that is where everything got arranged around. That is one of the reasons. But of course, the vibe of the city was such that I had to do at some part of my career something with respect to Mumbai. And I don't know if this is the last project that I'm doing for Mumbai, obviously, but it had to happen at some time, and it happened with Dialogue. I plan to do bigger things and better things with more equipments or perhaps more resources in the future. But there is a certain kind of a love affair that you have when you're working in a city and you're like making your bread every day out of that place. So there is a kind of an attachment, and you want to do something about it. And this kind of an expression is, I think, part of that, to some extent.
Okay. And lastly, I would also like to talk about the editing of this video. How easy or how difficult was it to cut all the visuals and go according to the beats of the music? And how did you go about it?
Well, we had fought a lot. Me and Nitin had a lot of fights in the day or in the night, trying to figure out how to go about certain things or certain animations or sorts. There were a lot of hyperlapses. There were a lot of 2D animations that needed to be done, motion graphics that needed to be done. And we had a lot of ideas, so it was very difficult to sort of narrow down as to what will be our style with respect to the overall entire outlook of the film. What is it that we are going to pose to the audience, that this is the kind of film that you're going to watch for the next 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. So getting that through the line, getting to that level in itself was very challenging. I think the first cut in itself was chucked. I did not really love that so much, and he had to sort of redo a lot of sequences and a lot of things. There are a couple of shots that were pretty much decided while we were shooting itself, like the fish shot that you have seen. So there are certain clips, certain shots that I had decided on the shoot itself, and those animations were like pretty much decided from the beginning. There are certain graffiti animations that I was very clear about. Certain time lapses I was very clear about. So those things happened very smoothly. But otherwise, it was like mostly us arriving at a particular kind of a closure or a beginning of a sequence. That is how it happened. It was pretty organic in that sense.
Fantastic. Over to you, Riju, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sahitya. That was very interesting questions that you put to Shouvik. And it is absolutely a hard work, which we see, which must have gone into making Dialogue. It's an amazing piece of the graffiti, the animation, the music, the sound effects, and a thought, like Sahitya said, that you've portrayed Mumbai in a very glamorous style in your own ways. How is it that you work out a storyboarding for this particular kind of a presentation? I mean, what goes through your head?
So for me, influences had been the surrealist filmmakers and people who had been largely preaching anti-films and experimental stuffs, be it an Andy Warhol or somebody like David Finch, some filmmakers who are like questioning the status quo or such. So for me, I was very clear about certain sequences and certain creative endeavors that I wanted to sort of pursue. And as far as the storyboard is concerned, I had certain sequences written out. I did not really sort of draw those kind of sequences somewhere. But I think it was very easily communicated to Rishabh and Uday, the cinematographers over there, and also Aditya, who was the sound sound guy who was recording the audio and everything. So they had a very clear picture as to these are the places and these are the things that needs to be captured in a certain way. Like in a fish market, it was very clear for them that this is what they need to capture. So we got things done very quickly as far as the sound capturing is concerned, as far as the visuals are concerned. Uh, uh, what I really failed at, I would say, was the fact that I did not have a lot of equipments, but I was very overachieving in certain sense. And we had the limitations of the lenses, we had the limitations of the equipments to do the hyperlapses or the time lapses. So that became very challenging. And very honestly, I did not have any other options to fill in all of those areas. So I would say that was this thing, a drawback, or a falling back on the this thing, on the entire plan of things. But
So what is the
otherwise, it
kind of
went pretty smooth.
yeah?
Sorry, continue.
So what is the kind of equipment that you used for shooting, for filming?
Sorry. Yeah, so it's a basic A7S Mark II and monopod that we used, and I think we used one. No, I don't think we used any Cineprime lens, as far as I can remember. So it was pretty much like the basic stuffs that we had gone out with. Yeah.
And what is the equipment that, when you say that you were short on the equipment, the kind of things that you needed or resources, what is the kind of equipment you desired
See,
for?
yeah. See, there are certain things that I really wish that I had. I wanted to have a gimbal at least to have some of the handle shots, which we eventually did like completely handle without any equipments of sorts. But we did not end up using those because when you do all of the frame lockings and everything, it does not really make any sense because it's not that well programmed or not that well choreographed. So that is one thing that we were short on. And also the audio mixing and the mastering that we have done is completely like in a home studio. So
Okay.
that is one thing that I really miss not having. That, like, you take the entire track and you take it to a studio and they do a magical job with that. So if that would have happened, this soundtrack would have sounded even more polished or more,
Yeah.
I don't know, professional. That is one
Yeah,
thing
you
that
could
I
have
think.
added probably a Dolby effect.
Right.
Yeah. Shovik, what we have come to know about you through your profile with us, that you have been trained at the Xavier's Institute, um,
Right.
that is in the video production,
Right.
basically. Were you trained to be a filmmaker, or were you trained to be the music video filmmaker? What is the area of your specialization when you graduated from Xavier's?
Okay, so the course was film and TV production, basically. We were trained largely to, make documentaries and write scripts also. And we were trained in post production as well. My area of specialization does not remain with music videos, actually. It's largely to do with, it has been largely with reality shows, and I had been a producer over there. I had also developed shows which are non-fiction, like as a creator, and I have done show bibles and stuff over there. And the aim had been always for me to be a director and a writer director per se. So I would say this is like, so in that process, not the first step or anything, but it's in that entire body of work that I'm doing. I had done branded content as well. I have written stuff for like different brands, CSR videos and DVCs and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a lot in those areas. But my personal expression, or my personal this things, the, how do you say it, you do something out of your passion, it turns out slightly different than the kind of work you usually do. So that is what dialogue is largely, I would say.
You have also worked as creative producer with a few of the channels for say MTV, Colors, Star Plus, Hotstar, ZTV, etc. Uh,
Yeah.
what do you mean when you say a creative producer? Because what you are saying right now is that you want to be a director, you've been trained as a director, and you've been directing. So,
Right.
could you differentiate what is the difference between a creative producer and a director, and your profile working with all these channels, and your experience with all
Mhm.
these channels?
Okay, so yeah, I had been part of shows like the Ace of Space and Big Boss and all of those shows. So the pedigree of all of those shows is very different than a fiction film director or, say, for example, a branded content director. So over there, your job profile largely ranges from, devising the format of the episode sometimes, or, devising the content of the episode, and then eventually delivering it from the editing table, the final episode. So it's a very different kind of a work process in terms of the amount of rushness that there is, the amount of the stakeholders are very different. So you need to churn out episodes every single day. If it is a daily, you need to be up at your game all of the times. And since it's a live format, live show, there's a PCR that needs handling. So inside a production control room, it's always a war situation. If you miss something, you miss it forever. It's not being captured. So there are a lot of plannings that are happening. There are a lot of impromptu things that are happening, and a lot of things are happening just by your gut feeling or just by the intuition. So that is something that doesn't really happen when you're sitting down with a script, with a bound script, and you're obviously storyboarding every single thing and you're planning your shoot. So that is the difference. Another major difference that there is when I'm working on projects like this, on dialogue and all, your budgets and everything is so constrained. So when you're working in a TV show, because you need to churn out so much, because there are so many stakeholders attached, your budgets are obviously making sense in that particular ecosystem. But when you're working in an independent scenario, it's much more difficult, because you don't have all of the right resources, but your this thing is very high, your aims are very high. So that is one thing that is very fun to learn, and a lot of DIYs start to happen. Like we have shot a mobile phone, a launch of a mobile phone with just two tube lights, and we had just wrapped around some paper and stuff, and we have done that particular shoot, and it was fun doing that all by ourselves without the best of the best studio equipments. And I think that is what the difference is about.
Yeah, you have also been writing scripts, and what you
Right.
have mentioned that your scripts have been awarded. So, where do you see your scripts, which especially the ones which have been awarded at various festivals? Where do they head after doing the rounds of the festival? Are you turning any of these scripts into production?
Yeah, so I had actually been asked by this festival to, develop my short film screenplay into a full feature length. And this has happened, I think, 2 3 months back. So I'm currently working on that. Other than that, the same script, in fact, has won another award last year in India. So that is that. Other than that, I also have ready these things. Those bibles and those concepts that you usually pitch for different OTTs. So I have ready concepts to that level, and that is what I try and pitch to different stakeholders, be that an OTT agent, or be that a particular investor or whatever. So interestingly enough, I was supposed to start off with a pilot of a web series, and this was around Feb this year, and we were just doing the pre-production
Yeah,
when in the March this thing happened. The lockdown started.
yeah.
So that never took off. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean the lockdown, COVID has put everybody off balance, and I just hope and wish that it resolves soon, so that everybody can get back
Yeah.
to work properly, and you can continue with your shoot and pre-production and get into shooting mode. So thank
and
you,
people
Shavik.
get back their faith.
Absolutely. Yeah, because yeah, one thing I also wanted to know from you is that as a young filmmaker, since you've been writing and you're pitching your projects to the OTT and different funders, what is the kind of the resistance or the issues or the problems that you go through, and you think that what could be done to arrest or address these kind of issues for the young filmmaker?
So, one point is definitely about credibility. There is a lack of credibility, I think, on both the sides. I mean, honestly speaking, I don't email random people right now because I had those kind of experiences where things did not go the right way, right direction. So it's a very difficult way to gauge. It's a very difficult process to gauge as to who is the genuine person that you should be approaching to. I think this industry should now be very transparent and is getting there, I guess, where you have places to go to if you have the right material, right content, and there are genuine people, genuine script writers who have genuinely good content to pitch to also, if you have a particular concept and you want to develop it further. So I think that two-way communication is what we still are lacking at largely. And on the other side, what has really sort of improved is that many filmmakers right now, thanks to the thanks to the fact that we are at home and we are learning so much online, we are also very much exposed, and we know about a lot of things that are happening internationally. So I will know a certain way of how a certain executive will function, or a certain way how a distribution platform will function. Say for example, in my case, Dialogue had been approached by different distributors or aggregators at a very ridiculously bad offer, and they had asked for exclusivity, they have asked for very bad terms for perpetuity. But I knew my rights, and I approached to them, I wrote back to them in a certain way, asking them the valid questions, and then I never heard from them. So this is the kind of knowledge or the kind of exposure that I think filmmakers are getting right now, and I hope that we don't get exploited to that level and in the future. That is one thing that that remains as the biggest fear, I would say, for young people like me.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Shovik. And it's really surprising to know that what kind of experiences or the bad experiences a young filmmaker or a budding filmmaker goes through. And I'm sure there are people and organizations trying to iron out these problems and differences. And there is always hope at the end of the day, like we are hoping for this COVID to end one day.
Right.
And that magic pill or a vaccine, to come from somewhere. I'm sure it may take a little longer, but things will iron out, will smoothen out with the time. But we must go on with our commitment and dedication, and the passion towards making the films and the kind of work that we want to do, without making any compromises. Like you said, that
Absolutely.
you didn't bow down to the offers that you had been offered, because
Hmm.
it didn't. You were not convinced with them. So
Right.
I really wish you all the luck and the best for Dialogue. I really wish it finds a good space in the digital world. We have the association with Vista India, and also now with the Z. I hope that you have gone through our video programs on our channel, where we've had conducted some sessions with the distributor heads. We had Vista India founder himself talking to us. Then we had the head of Z, international film distribution head for the global syndication from Z, Vibha Chopra. She also spoke to us, and
Hmm.
they are very open to the new products and all. But yes, the financials are something which need to be worked out on an individual basis, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. We also have an offer for our YouTube channel, that all the filmmakers who are wanting to put out their work in the public domain and all can always give it to our YouTube channel and take all the profits. We don't want any profits from that. Is so that we are providing a platform to all the filmmakers, one platform where the best of the content can be seen. So we are trying to create that space for the filmmakers like that. So in case you come across people who are willing to do this, please divert them to us. If their content is not being taken by the OTTs and all, they're most welcome to utilize our YouTube channel. And if there is any profit made on that film, please take away the profit.
Thank you so much. And this is new information for me. Thank you, Rijuji, for sharing this. Thank
Well,
you so much.
it's already there on our website. It's just that a lot of
Okay.
people don't scroll through that, and a lot of people don't read all the details that we have on our website. So I sincerely suggest you and all the viewers who are watching this program, please go through our website in detail.
Definitely.
Okay, Shovik, nice talking to you. We'll definitely connect once again. I hope
Sure.
there is something for you in store on the 25th of December. That will be an online declaration of the awards. We are not having any
Okay.
physical distribution as yet. We will do it once the COVID period ends. We will do an award function in Mumbai. That is
Right.
when things allow. Since most of the people, filmmakers to us, are from all over the world and all over the country, so it's not possible that to get if everybody was present in Mumbai, then we could have hosted the function here, and since everybody would have come from Mumbai. But with us, it's our luck that everybody is coming from different parts of the world and the country, in fact. So
Yeah, and that is the best thing to happen for films and content like what you guys are, sort of showing to the world. That is really
yeah,
lovely.
yeah. I mean, thanks to the internet, it has made the world even smaller.
Yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
I was just checking a couple of interactions that you had with the filmmakers. Really lovely. I mean, there is so much to know about what they are going through in their endeavors of making a short film. That in itself is a learning.
That's the whole idea of having these sessions, getting to know the directors and the issues and the problems existing in our film industry, the global film industry, that is, and try to address the issues and the problems together.
Right.
Thank you, Shavik, for having your time for us. Thank you, Sahitya, for putting some
Most
lovely,
welcome.
fabulous questions, like always. And he is the man responsible for getting selecting some good work for Lift India.
My
Wow.
pleasure.
Thank you, Sarita, for all your questions. And it's a pleasure to be able to talk about dialogue and to be able to talk about my team. Thank you so much.
Likewise, Shavik, and all the best.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.